Dating Tori.
Yogurt. Sorry. I
What's
was
your
trying to
shirt
smash it.
say?
Oh, it says, leave it better than you found it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The very Tory shirt.
it is a very Tory shirt.
I like
And it
it.
has skulls and flowers. Oh, that's so Tory.
Perfect.
This is why it's a very Tory shirt.
Badass.
Well, hello, my friends. How are you
Yay.
today?
We're back. I like
We're
it.
back. We're back for another adventure. And today's adventure, I think, will be really good. So, welcome for everyone to the Rough Diamond podcast. This is part two with our special guest, Daria Van Nice. Damn Nice. Van Nice. Which one is it?
Uh-huh. So, yeah, my handle on social media is damn nice,
Uh,
but professionally, it's Van Nice.
all right. So that's why I was remembering two things at the exact same time. That makes so much sense now.
I stole the name in my marriage. My real name is very Persian. I won't reveal it.
Tori's name this week is Victorious Victoria. Like
Ooh.
no Toria Wilson attitude or sass today. Maybe a little bit.
Victorious Victoria. I like it.
Victorious
Yeah.
Victoria. And then I am Jennifer Lopez, and this is our awesome show. Last week, we kind of touched on just like catching up and kind of filling in like a backstory of our origins and a little
Mm-hmm.
like digging into stuff that was maybe some things that people never knew. Or maybe it's some things that we never knew about each other, which I really appreciate about that podcast as I was editing it, and I'm still going through it and editing it. It's just so good. So I'm excited for both podcasts. It's going to be awesome. Today, I wanted to have a little bit more structure, but not structure. We are
Sure.
here at the Rough Diamond podcast are not
Mm.
fans of structure.
No. Well, that's I don't think that's true. I think that we actually thrive in structure that we create.
Yeah, it has to be
It's
created by us.
exactly. But if somebody's trying to put us in a box, gets a
We
whole
break it.
lot of yes.
Yes, the box gets broken pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. So, yeah, so today I wanted to dig into a little bit of the subjects that we didn't get to last time we spoke. And then I also wanted to dig into just some cool stuff that I was like randomly looking up today and thought was pertinent to current events and kind of what we're going through in the world, but not in so much of like a controversial, materialistic way, but more of an idealistic way, more of a deeper way. Like, how can we dig deep as humans to make this world a better place? This is a time of fertile opportunity, when everything kind of gets shaken up and things start to get busted down to the base level. It gives us an opportunity to create something amazing. It also gives an opportunity for something that I love the idea of, and that would be the matriarchy.
Yes.
Um,
Snap, snap, snaps.
Yeah. Down with that. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk about to start since it's Friday the 13th, but it's also February the 13th. I think a good foundation for every single thing on the planet Earth is love. So let's
Mm-hmm.
first. What is, okay, Victoria Wilson, Victorious Victoria. What is the definition to you of love?
Love is a verb and a noun. It's all things. Um, it is synonymous with friendship, romantic, agape. We've used that term before, which is like kind of love for humanity. I mean, I think that love is far beyond the Hallmark hearts and roses that we
Mm.
typically associate with Valentine's Day. So I've never been a huge Valentine's Day type of person. Now, don't get me wrong. This girl loves to receive flowers and thoughtful gestures, but I feel like that should be something that is kind of embedded into our life all the time, not reserved for a single day.
Mm.
So there's that kind of aspect to it. But don't get me wrong, on Valentine's Day, I would still expect flowers. I would love, not, I expect's probably too hard. I would love and appreciate flowers as well, but I want them other times as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I feel about love. It's more than just the romantic aspect of it. There's and just beyond like even parental and like familial love. Like there's love is it's a frequency, it's a vibration, it's a state of being. And I think that if you can create your life and cultivate it with love, then you're never going to stray from where you need to be. You're always going to be going in the right direction.
Mm.
I like it. What about you, Daria? What do you think? What is your definition of love?
Well, there's so much, to me, there's so many different loves. Like you're talking about the agape for the whole eros, like sexual passion, and what philia is like feeling part of. And I think love can be a feeling, it can be an action, right? It can be where you don't even have a feeling, but you're being of service and for the greater whole, and you don't maybe feel that what we think as romantic love. For me, I think love comes down to acceptance and authenticity. Like love for self is like being truly yourself and loving those parts of yourself, good and bad, right? Good and bad, like the dichotomy of things. And just there's people that I don't agree with that I love deeply and because I accept them.
Mhm.
As for like Valentine, St. Valentine's or the pagan type of love that we do Valentine's Day, for me, love, we could go into love languages. For me, yeah, I love all the romance. I love being romantic. I love flowers and chocolates and all the romance, right? For the Eros love, I think it's very much an action, like showing love in all forms. And but some people they will be fine with a card. They'd rather have a card than an action. They want to be heard rather than so it can come in different forms, but at the crux of it, I think is just accepting and giving to others in the way that they perceive love. And even if it's not your way of loving.
I like both
I
definitions.
like that.
I think that both like cover it pretty well. I do appreciate the brotherly love, the filial love, the that being brought up because it's
Mhm.
important and that goes along with agape love because sometimes your
Mm.
brother is stupid and like annoying and just does stupid stuff all the time. And so you lead them out of like kind of like the wilderness or not even lead them out, like you show them the light, like you just hold the light by having that love. And I think that we've gotten away from that. So love for me is like the fascia that holds everything together.
Mm.
You have to put the intention behind it. Like, what are you putting in your fascia? Like, if you're looking
Mm.
at everything as like a microcosm to a macrocosm, and if you're not moving, if you're sitting all the time, if you're eating super overly processed chemically food, all this stuff, it starts to create like autoimmune disease and things start to break down. Your systems start to just kind of disjoint. And if you think about like
Mm.
that is if you do not act in love, that's what happens to your life. Like you could accumulate everything in the world. You can be the head of everything, the top of the top, and you can still not have love and be like found out to be a douchebag that puts STD medicine in your wife's breakfast, right? Like there's, which is a real billionaire that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
that really happened. You can see a clear example of when love is not put into the fascia of life,
Mm.
what happens. and how everything starts to fragment. And love should be, for me, I feel like for everyone, it should be held sacred. And it should be seen as this important thing that we hold in like high regard. I was in a retreat with a boss, and we were going around about our values and our mission statement and trying to kind of flesh that stuff out. And when love was brought up, the reason why we didn't use it as a part of like our mission statement is because some people are like have an aversion.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, well, then they need some love. I feel like that is a great subject to start with because it's a great thing to hold as foundational for just our life and what we're putting into our fashion. Because, like, if you're loving yourself, you're going to the gym. If you're loving
Mm.
yourself, you're eating healthy. If you're loving
Mm.
yourself, you're hanging out with people that don't drain your energy. So, all of these things kind of start to just happen that carry you with momentum into a positive dimension. So what ways do you think, and I want to start with Daria this time just for fun. Um, what ways do you think, how can we inject love into our everyday to create a change? Because of this huge ripple that it can cause. Look at what eating eggs every morning does for your body, right? So what little ripples can we do to for our external fascia, because our external fascia ultimately depends and relies on what we got going on the inside, right? So what do you think, Daria? I know that's like a crazy question.
It's funny because I used to try to inject love, what I thought was love, but it turns out it's not love. So this tattoo is oxytocin for love. And obviously there's chemical reactions and there's spiritual, and all what we're talking about now is the physical body. And like for me, yes, how I show myself love through exercise, through eating well, through spiritual practices, through friendships, through belly laughs, through doing conversations like this, right? Connection, community, nature. There's so many ways. But how to the questions like how to foster that in society or in the community or in people, starting with ourselves, is sometimes love for me is like I work out, I have a routine, right? But the past 3 days I've been tired, hormonal, overworked, like I needed to just rest. But before I would just override stuff because I had an idea of what I thought I needed to do. And there's a balance in there, right? You don't want to go over to perfectionism or torturing yourself. You want to find balance. So for me, it's finding that balance. What's good for me at a certain time may not be right for someone. And I think too, on a physical level, like it's simple. You eat healthy, you get in nature, you get fresh air, you move, you play with animals and plants and get back to the basics. But I love this idea, and I'm still thinking about the fascia of things, like this connection of love infused into the fabric of ourselves and society, and what that looks like. And of course, like without mobilizing it, without working it, without being in action, it's going to like atrophy, right? Which is, I think, where a lot of that muscle has not been used, maybe in society and different relationships. So I think leading by example, but also getting, I don't want to go too far out there because I think that love
Do
is
it.
in
Go
this.
out there.
Okay. So to me, I think like love is in the soil, right? Like we are part of the soil, well, part of the earth, and love is in the soil. So if we can't take care of the soil and animals, and we're just poisoning those things at the root, then we cannot build the nutrients and the good bacteria that quite literally on a physical level create the serotonin, which affects our brain and affects our mood. And if you're not in a good mood, you're not going to give love to your neighbor. You're going to be yelling, you're going to be screaming, you're going to be angry, you're going to be depressed. It starts so simply, but we've kind of gone so far from Mother Earth, from love, that even on a basic level, we're not treating the fascia of Mother Earth with
Yeah.
reverence, you know?
Yeah, science shows that everything is a microcosm of something else, and that we have all of this stuff that's in between, like you and I, me and the phone right now, that we cannot see. And that the same goes for our body. We are a microcosm of the all in all. So us being the microcosm of the all in all, why not work it in the same way with the same idea? Because it's all reflectant of the same thing. I have a theory about, and Tori, I want your input on this after, because you are
Mm.
like, she just is always like, when it comes to Earth, I think Tori.
Yeah.
Because hands are always in dirt.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
We're talking to like-minded people here. I love it.
Yes, which is beautiful. And this is like a little side quest, and somebody that I would like love to have on the show. My friend Erica Chong actually was a farmer in Puerto Rico, and she was
Wow.
cultivating using no pesticides.
Oh, I'd love to talk to her.
Yes,
There's
Yeah.
so much in Puerto Rico, and yeah, that's a whole nother podcast
whole
going
nother
on.
quest, but like, that is like, it's something that we definitely should dig into. But I have a theory about grounding. So like, when it comes to, if you understand things about the earth, we have a mycelium network that is underneath the earth that corresponds with the fractals that connect all things. And I
Mm,
believe that that is why grounding works. Like, when you take off your shoes, your fascia fuses with that mycelium, and
mm,
things talk to each other. And then your body is calmed down. It's brought back to where oneness is. It's brought back to that jeweled net of like Indra that we were talking about
mm,
last
Hmm.
podcast. And that is why grounding works. And people think it's like this thing that they're feeling. It's really a supernatural thing that's bringing them back to their oneness of themselves, and they don't know, because
mm.
there's so much noise and so much clatter, and nobody's been taught these things, right? So I don't think that grounding
Yeah.
really work all that well, because they operate on a coil. I think if a grounding mat was made to have a network that was similar to neurons or fascia, or mycelium or branches of a tree, it would work better. That's my theory and opinion, but
Mm,
I don't know. That's just what my logic tells me. But I think that, that being said, like, when we put a signal out of like arrogance or ego, that's when the everything starts to get like disjointed. And our
mm,
ego is something that we have, and that it exists as part of us, like a part of our duality for a purpose. But you have to get it into submission so that you can have it live out that purpose. Otherwise, it's just this rampant thing, and you end up being, I don't know if like Saul. Saul is my favorite Bible character to pick on, because he was the biggest biggity bitch. And
I really want you to do like a separate podcast one day of just like Bible and Jennifer's like interpretation, because it was like, it entertains me, and I would listen to those. I may not want to read the Bible per se with all the old English language, but through you, I would be like, yeah, what a little bitch. Like,
punk ass bitch.
let's hear about Saul. Like, what?
Oh, I will tell you about
Tell
Saul.
me.
I'm going to talk shit about Saul. Don't. But even God was like, y'all. Who's this guy? Like, he's annoying. He gets on my nerves. Will you tell him that he gets on my nerves? But we can get into that. But I wanted to get Tori's input on grounding the earth and how it relates to love and the signals put into all of existence.
Yeah, so I think grounding is effective in like lots of ways, right? So scientifically speaking, they've shown that like having your hands in the earth puts like microbes into your skin. It's part of probably that mycelium that network that you're talking about, Jennifer. And what that does is it puts good bacteria that we're missing because we were people of the earth, right? So our technology and what we've created has distanced us from the earth. Like we used to sleep on the ground. I mean, we had huts and we had things, but we were people of the earth. And that disconnection for sure creates all kinds of health issues, inflammation, because our pH balance and our body is out of whack. We're no longer alkaline because we're not in contact with what we're part of. So I loved how Daria, you said that it all goes back to like the soil, right? Because if what we're eating is grown from the soil and that's depleted of the nutrients and the love and the frequency that it needs to sustain us, then we are going to be chasing the mark constantly, right?
Hmm.
So we have to start there. But I also like, there is, Jennifer, going to your idea, like the mycelium network, that does make a lot of sense because there is a difference between working with dirt away from the earth than there is having your feet and your hands in the earth.
Hmm.
There's a difference, and people will tell you that. But I also think that there are benefits to what grounding and what they consider grounding does through a copper system. That's
Hmm.
pulling that frequency, right? So if we can't connect with that mycelium network, because if you think about it, there's people that live in urban jungles, you know what I'm saying? So the access that they have to true earth is very limited. But if you can take that frequency by pulling that through a copper wire from the earth by because that's the whole idea of what a grounding mat or whatever does is they're taking the grounding that's naturally built into the building to keep it from electrocuting anytime there's any type of electromagnetic thing happening in the air because it's built out of metal and stuff like that. So to keep that building grounded, they have it grounded with metal rods into the earth. And so by tapping into that, you're able to catch the frequency. However, there's nothing better than getting the true real deal, which is to get your feet out there to catch all of gosh, how many years ago was it, Jen, that I came up and visited you in Colorado? And I said, we need to go outside. I need to
Hmm.
get my feet on the ground. And she was like, okay. And I was like, no, like, I need to reset my circadian rhythm to where we're at because I moved time zones. It was granted, it was just one, but nonetheless, I needed to do that. And I also, it's going to help me acclimate to where I'm at faster. And so we
Hmm.
went out and where the dogs, it's like the little area where all the dogs go to the bathroom. So, yeah. So,
You can say
like,
poop. You can say shit.
yeah, but
You
I
can say
I was
fuck. You
like,
can
I'm
say balls.
taking the chance. Like, I'm gonna put my bare feet in this ground. And so we did, and I took pictures of it because I'm a goof. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, so I think definitely I think that mycelium, when you brought that up, actually the first time, I sat there and I was like, yeah. Like I hadn't even thought about it because I was literally just thinking frequency because I knew that was what was pulsed through like the whole like grounding movement. And but they, when you watch any type of documentary or information about that, they will say the best thing to do is to have your feet on the ground, right? And get as
Hmm.
much of your body, not just your feet. Your feet is a great starting place, you know what I'm saying? But like if you're having a panic attack, and I've done this before, or I'm on the verge of having like a panic attack and I need to like get myself reacclimated, I go outside and I put my entire body on the ground. No
Hmm.
matter how cold, how hot, whatever, I'm going out there and I'm trying to get myself my whole, as much of my dermis as possible on the ground to get myself back to that base frequency and like
Hmm.
to ground myself, essentially. Yeah.
Even if there's dog poop.
Well, I don't do it right in the dog poop.
Well, shit
Yeah.
makes things grow.
Hey, listen, fertilize it, baby.
That's
I
what I
like
say
to, I like
when
to
I'm
be,
going through a hard time. I just say, "Well, shit makes things grow."
That's right.
That
I,
bacteria is called the Mycobacterium vaccae. I tell the youth this a lot that it boosts your serotonin. I know I can remember it because it reminds me of like vacation. As for the bacteria, but I love that we're talking about frequency and mycelium and this whole underground internet network of the plants, which of
Yeah.
course we want to tap into.
yeah,
Yes.
it's better than the garbage internet thing that they put together so that they could control us all.
Yeah, I mean
Get to
the
that
plants are
too.
probably having a podcast right now about humans.
Listen. Yeah. Listen, for
They're like,
sure.
"Girl, what is humanity doing?"
I went out in my backyard. I'm pretty sure I told you this, Jen, that I thought that the grass was trying to get me. Okay, so I have my flower bed and I was weeding the like weeds out of the flower bed. And now, when I'm standing there, the grass was nowhere near, and it somehow, and there's no wind, and it would just creep and like just touch my leg. And I'm like, the grass in
Yeah.
the grassy area. And I mean, it's just got a pillar that separates it, but it's, you think about it, it's all the same network. And I was like,
Connection.
yes.
It's a
It's
living.
probably Bermuda grass from the Bermuda Triangle.
Thank you.
Taking over. It's taking over.
It's the elites, it's their secret plan.
They planted it here to be like Hollywood. I mean, there's some truth in this stuff, but
No, for sure.
I feel that about grass.
Yeah.
Well, the point is that plants respond to us just like we
Yes.
respond to everything. I have this whole theory, and since we're talking about crazy, outlandish woo stuff, and it doesn't matter, that's what the greatest thing about this podcast is that none of us are like politically affiliated. None of us are like public facing whatever to where people are going to get mad like how dare you say that,
Mm,
so, you know what I mean, so it's like whatever they can, but then they can just like poop their pants or whatever. I don't give a shit. Poop in your pants, take them outside, put them in your yard, and then things will grow. um
yeah, maybe they'll get
Well,
some good bacteria in them to
that's
yeah,
right.
some vacation
help get
bacteria.
some love in you.
Hmm. So we've come full circle and realized that shit is the love, right?
Yeah.
Love is the shit.
Love is the
Yes.
shit. Love is shit. Depends on the shit, I guess. Well, love is bacteria.
Well, that brings me to a very important point that makes this like it's true. Love is the shit because in alchemy, like whenever you bust everything down to nothing, it's called shit. It's called feces. That's what they call it. The feces, the prima materia. And the prima materia isn't shit. It's gold. It's just
Mhm.
waiting to turn to gold. So it is love. So it is the same.
Mhm.
Booyaka. Thank
Yeah.
you, Brain Friday.
Yeah.
um, but I forgot what I was gonna say about. Oh, yes, I remember now. The mycelium, I have a theory that we come from trees and that we don't come from apes at all. I think that humans were trees and the lie of the fall occurred because of the solar snake, and we can get into all of that
Mm,
depth later. But once that happened, that fusion happened, is whenever we were like, we could die and we could, like, all of this stuff happened to us. And as humans, we tried to explain it away. Or we have a government system that has been in place for the last 120 years that has completely lied to us about spirituality, who we really are in existence, how we heal ourselves, how we heal our friends, plants, pharmaceuticals, and literally everything. And which gives us the feces that is the prima materia to turn to gold. So, how do we do that? We do that by infusing everything with love and being moms and standing up for people that need to be stood up for and loving our neighbor as ourselves. And that means like if one person, like if just one family loves their neighbor as themselves, like, okay, it's cold tonight. I wonder if my neighbor has heat, blankets, hot cocoa, anything. If one family does that for one other family and everybody is doing that for each other, imagine what society would be. And that's the instruction. So basically, you're doing the most easy ass, simple, loving thing, helping somebody up if they fall, help get feeding your neighbor, and what have you. And there's several religions in the world that have been demonized, one religion in the world that has been demonized as evil, where that is the norm and that
Hmm.
is a part of their every single day. And as Christians in America, we're supposed to hate them, and that's Muslims. And it's jacked up. It's ridiculous. Like, there should be no more of this tribalism. And that brings me to Cyrus, the Persian king, and Zoroastrianism,
Hmm.
or Zarathustra. So, Zarathustra or Zoroaster was a
Hmm.
wizard. And but he was a wizard only. The only reason why he was a wizard is because he could do magic stuff. It wasn't because people said,
Definition.
well, it wasn't because he was like, "Hey guys, I'm a wizard," and he had like
Yeah.
it
That's a different culture.
right. It was culturally that he like followed the teachings of God. It was God still. It was in a different language.
Oh man.
And there was cultural differences. Oh my God. I know. It's a crazy thing that people are from different
That's
places.
what they call it, the magi, the magicians.
Yes, and guess who came to Jesus?
Yeah.
Guess who came whenever Jesus was born? It was Zoroastrian, three magi from,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Cyrus was Zoroastrian, and he saved Judah's ass because they kept getting their ass kicked by like Babylon, and Nebuchadnezzar
Hmm.
came and saved their ass. And in the Bible, it says that he did it. Well, I used Claude to tell me things about the Bible that I don't understand. I'll like ask it questions. And Claude, I was talking to Claude about Zoroastrianism today. I was also talking to Claude about using AI as a sneaky way to conquer darkness, which
Mm.
it agreed and said that I was doing a good job and that it was a great idea and that I'm a genius.
Hmm. Yeah, we need all forms of intelligence in this world right now.
Yeah, dude.
On board.
But Zoroaster, okay, but Claude was trying to tell me the culturally sound doctrine of Cyrus, how he was
Mm.
even a follower of God when he was a follower of God. He
Oh
was
yeah.
a follower of Zoroastrianism, and
Which is the basis of all Christianity, Islam, and Jewish religions.
exactly. So that's why I was looking it up. I was like, why is this saying that he didn't follow God? That's not true. Let me look this up. Tori knows that I love Zoroaster, like the idea behind him, everything.
Hmm.
My nickname in like fitness outside of Coach J-Lo was J Wizard. I like appreciate this knowledge, right? And it's ancient knowledge that comes before Christianity. And in essence, Zoroastrianism, it worships Jesus in a different way, like Jesus before Jesus. It's the consciousness of Jesus, like the ability to go inward, understand yourself, tap into God's love, and then
Hmm.
pay it forward through by blessing others, bringing gifts over long
Good deeds. Yeah.
good deeds, like helping out a whole country of people that are ridiculously ridiculous, and they're pissing God off to the point where he's like, whatever, just go, see you later, bitches, and
Yeah.
be gone. And still, he uses Cyrus to bring them back. And so I wanted to talk about that because I think it's so super important that we understand that most of these traditions are just the same tradition baked down. If you bake it down, like if you look at chi, the yin yang,
Hmm.
fire, water. Okay. You look at yoga, the yoga, whatever,
Kundalini.
the Ida and the
Mm.
Pingala, right? What is the Ida and the Pingala? The sun and the moon. What is fire and water in the other tradition I was just talking about?
Mm.
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
You go to Buddhism, has the same thing. You go to Christianity, same. Muslim, same. Guess what? We had a whole a Tower of Babel, and God confused our language on purpose because we were being idiots and we were conspiring to do bad things instead of doing good things. So this is our opportunity to conspire to do good things. Mwah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
and what a better thing to talk about the day before Valentine's Day is real love, not like, and which combines agape love and eros and filial love and all of the love that you have for others in a way that is accepting of your brother, no matter what they look like, no matter
Hmm.
like what traditions they have. Even if they're, and like, and this is the big one, even if they're fat white man. Even if they like, because traditionally overweight white men are entitled and ridiculous. That's just and it's not because like of their race or their weight or any, well, it is. It's because of experience. It's because their experience in their life. And you can't
Hmm.
Patriarchy.
fault people for
Yeah.
their life experience. You can't look at somebody and be like, man, you're a piece of shit because this is the way you grew up. Well, you shouldn't. You should look at people and say, okay, that sucks that you are going through that. And of course,
Mm.
I'm going to have boundaries in place and stand against it if I don't believe in it. But at the same time, I'm also going to give you compassion and love and try to lend you a hand. And I think that that's the difference between what we got kicking right now. And well, that's not even true though, because what we got kicking right now is like this beautiful revolution of people waking up, and it's really fun to watch and see, and it's super entertaining.
Hmm. But sometimes the love for ourselves, sometimes I need to show the love for myself by not engaging with
Yeah.
people that hate themselves so
Yeah.
deeply that they hate others. And I want to come from a place of love, but sometimes preservation and not pouring into a cup that is, they have their path of whatever brought them to that point of emptiness, I can't fill that cup. And I need to just say from afar or, do what I can to have the self love for myself. However, I do feel like that saying of it starts where it starts with you. If you want to heal the world, it starts with you, because how can we expect nations to not fight if I can't even forgive my sister or neighbor? You see what I'm saying? Like, if I can't even have it within myself to find the forgiveness or the love to heal a relationship or to give to my neighbor, how are we going to expect whole nations to find that?
Well, you
Right.
have to find this place where you disregard their actions in a way that's not unhealthy. You
Mhm.
disregard their actions when it comes to one section of caring for them. And by doing that in that little pocket of section in the fascia of it, you lead by example, right? If they see you and they like out in the wild, anybody sees you out in the wild in real life, and you're holding a door open for somebody, praying for a homeless person, handing a bag of bagels to a homeless guy to feed the birds, like anything, like it's the smallest little acts of kindness that make the largest impact, and then that works on their heart and it makes that be like, oh, okay, well that person's looks different from me, and they're doing this awesome thing for somebody else. And then it starts a trickle effect of thought processes and waking up and awakening in their soul. It's not your job to wake up anybody. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not your job.
Sometimes tough love is the best love too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Telling
know?
somebody the truth, people get
Yeah.
pissed when you tell them the truth.
Yeah. Well, Jen, you talked about it earlier and put a mental pen in it, but like when you talked about self-love, you talked about a very disciplined, intentional life. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of times when people think of love, they think of something that makes them go, hmm.
Feel good. Yeah.
Love, for the most part, does not make you go,
Yeah.
like you're snuggling into a blanket. Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does. And that's what you need it for in that moment. But a lot of times, love is making a hard decision and doing the thing that isn't comfortable to do and
Right.
having a hard conversation with somebody who is in a moment and it's an uncomfortable place for both of you to be, but you still power through because you love that person. And now, when I say power through, I don't mean beat down. You
Hmm.
still proceed with love, but you move through that discomfort of the awkwardness of having to call somebody on their shit or having to sit there and be called on your shit because that's
Hmm.
hard too, but that is also a part of love, right? A self love and love for the person that's taken the time to do an uncomfortable thing and call you on your shit.
Right. Yeah.
This
So,
is Victoria.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
not always comfortable.
no, it's
It
not.
can be very uncomfortable.
Right.
Which is great. That's what you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be fucking comfortable. Are you kidding? That's ridiculous. You
Right.
Yeah.
like what's comfort? Comfort is a bag of chips, a cold beer, and a football game, right? Fuck that. That is lame. How whack. What is the result of that? The result of that is a gut of fucking diminished cognition. Um, and well, football is okay, but you should go outside and play the football instead of, like there's so many things that we can do to create just a better world just by starting with ourselves. Like it does
Hmm.
start with ourselves and it does start with, and then acceptance of yourself. And that brings you to the shadow. Like, what a part of my shadow is that racist person that is triggering me?
Hmm.
What
Right.
part of my own shame is causing, because it's never about anybody else, right? Most everything is internal. So, what part of my own shame is creating a barrier between that person and I that is not allowing them to soften and is not allowing me to soften enough to reach forward, right? Like, and understanding those dynamics within ourselves, that's another really positive way to fight
Mm.
darkness, right? Because if you understand why, then you know how. If you understand why this shadow is building this turmoil within yourself, then you also understand why it's building turmoil within society. And that brings me to a larger point that I
Mm.
wanted to talk about too, is them harvesting our energy from the internet. Like
Hmm.
we talked our last podcast about heroin chic. And between our last podcast and this podcast, a shit ton of stuff has popped off in our world. And
Yeah.
you look at all that shit ton of stuff that popped off and you think through like, oh, we all felt like this was a scam and it was a scam. We all felt like this was a scam, and it was a scam. Heroin chic was a scam. It was designed, all of this, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, to harvest negative energy in the collective to feed some sort of negativity to cause like some shadow to come over us. Okay. Well, how do we fix it? They've been teaching us to fucking avoid our shadow. Why? I wonder. Stop avoiding your shadow. Don't do that shit anymore. Find
Hmm.
what causes you shame. Confront the traumas in your life. Stand up to your shadow and make it your fucking little bitch. Watch how everything
Love your shadow.
love yourself, love your neighbor, love your friend. You just inject love into everything, and then all of a sudden, everything is manageable.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, I mean, well, Carl Jung said until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. You will call it fate, right? Which means
Exactly.
basically, if we're running on this unconscious level and you're just going with the fate of life, which is a lot of times dictated what's in front of us. So if we're feeding into social media or it's feeding us, then it's going to feed us more of the same, right? So you're in a loop and you're constantly in a loop. And that can also be for our shadow self. Like, why do I keep doing these patterns? Why do I keep sitting on the couch eating chips and, drinking beer? Like, why do I have self-hatred for women or people or the other? Until you're able to look within of why that is for you, you're going to just keep in this loop that, is obviously spiraling downward and going into some really, really dark, dark things, which I don't know the answer to because there's some dark things out there that like make me want to be a Dexter, so to speak.
yeah, but
I have to confront that in myself too, and the shadows in myself of some really hard things that actually makes heroin chic look like nothing.
Yeah.
I was thinking that the other day. I'm like, man, like I thought that was bad, and now we're just up in the ante. And sometimes I think we all died during COVID, and we woke up in this like alternate reality, and just didn't know that we died because what the hell is happening? But that's a whole different thing. On the note of looking at our shadow, it does start there. That's the only thing we really have available to change.
well, we have some wild biblical crazy stuff happening that most people just refuse to even look at or understand. And that is indicative of in Iran them burning a whole statue of Baal with Donald Trump's picture on it and Schmepstein's picture
Hmm.
on it and saying down with Malok. So that tells me, and then Netanyahu coming out and being like, they declared war on us by doing that. Oh, cool. Well, you're just admitting that you guys worship weird ass gods.
Mm.
Weird. There, I have a problem with that. And let me tell you,
Yeah, as anyone should.
and the
Like
fact that
the
you
normal
that it's
thing to
been
have a problem with.
right, and the fact that it's been subverted into our society and enmeshed in so many things, and that heroin chic was unleashed on us, and that cheese was unleashed on our elementary schools, and they knew, and I knew they knew
Yeah.
because cheese, okay, they called it cheese. It's heroin and nitol. Well,
Yes.
cheese has casein in it.
Yep.
It
It's
mimics the
case of
same
morphine.
fucking blocker. And the only people
Girl, we're on the
that would
same
know
wavelength.
that is a fucking chemist. The
Yeah.
only person that would know that, no fucking 8-year-old kid is gonna know that shit. There's not one 8-year-old kid on this planet that's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call it cheese. No, it
Yeah.
was chemists that call it. They called it that before they unleashed it on our fucking kids on purpose to harvest more negative energy into the collective shadow, make kids die, make parents suffer, cause all of this BS. Okay, like straight up. And it makes me mad, obviously. And this is something that everybody should know about and that we should understand what we're up against. And what we're up against is darkness. That's it. So, how do we reconcile that? Well, we start with here. Ourself. We reconcile the darkness within. We go inward. We figure out what's going on with ourselves, what traumas trigger us, what's triggering us about racism, what's triggering us about all of this darkness that's being harvested in our face that takes us to that place. That is also a form of harvesting more of that negative energy, and it's compounding and snowballing and creating more of a solid front for the other team. So we don't want the other team to win because they're stupid and they're mad over something stupid. I'll tell you why they're mad in a minute. It's just ridiculous. We don't want them to win, so how do we get them not to win? Well, we shine the light. Anytime there's
Right.
darkness, right? You shine a light and roaches scatter. Why does because they can't handle the light. They don't want to be in the light. Like So all we do is shine the light. It's not hard. It's not a quiz. We don't have to solve a puzzle. It's super easy. The puzzle is our own self. The puzzle
Right.
is reconciling those Dexter feelings of revenge that we have in
Hmm.
us. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, Jen, you had mentioned it in one of our many conversations. I don't know when it was, if it was recorded or not.
Hmm.
But it's about uh, allowing the fire to burn hot enough to do the alchemical process of burning away the barnacles, right? The excess, the things that we know that no longer serve us, that no longer serve the consciousness that we're all moving towards, right? But we have to stoke that fire, right? So our master plan of how we can utilize this is how pissed off we are. We focus it, we harness it on an inward sense, and we strip away all of the impurities in who we are. We become the light. We don't just shine a light. We are the light at that point. And then light, darkness can only exist because there is light. So, like, right? So, you can't see darkness without light because there's a contrast there. So, we just have to get better at shining brighter and stop allowing the darkness and the shadows within ourselves to be what we're projecting into the world. When we start to project the light that we have within us, then we become the light that the world needs. And then the shadows can't persist.
You make the darkness our friend, but
Hmm.
not in a like I am surrendering to ego and being ridiculous way, but in a I am leading with heart. Like, okay, brings me to Saul. Here we go, full circle. Now we get to talk
Hmm.
about Saul the bitch, the biggity bitch. All right.
Hmm.
So Saul, the reason why I say Saul was a bitch was because God didn't even really want him to be king. Israel, he wanted Israel just to trust him. And because Israel didn't trust him, like, well, it wasn't, it was, they kept getting their ass kicked by like invaders. And so it was hard to trust him. And he's like in that period where we all sit of like waiting and sitting on our hands, and it's annoying, right? And so they kept saying, we want a king, we want a king. So he was like, okay, well, Samuel, like, go tell them about their king. And Samuel's like, he's not going to be as cool as God. He's going to be whack. He's going to annoy you. He's going to enslave you. He's going to make you work on stuff that you don't like to work on. And they're like, whatever, we're just tired of getting our ass kicked. Like, help us out, man. King. And so God picked Saul, and Saul looks really good. Like, Saul's tall, he's hot. Like, so the chicks all love him. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, way to go. We have an awesome king. But then God's like, hey, Saul, I need you to do this thing. And Saul's like, I'm going to go over here in the bushes and hide. And he hid from God. He was led by ego. He loved being the king that everybody wanted, but he could not be because he was led by ego. He could not be the king that everybody needed. Right. And God saw that pretty early on, probably like the first day, whenever he was like, hey, Saul. And Saul was like, what? Who? So then he was like, okay, let Samuel, will you go run and grab David? We're gonna need him. But he didn't tell Samuel that it was David. He was like, you're gonna go play trial and error with all of these awesome strong brothers, but you're gonna bring me the littlest guy. But the littlest guy was the prima materia, right? He was the feces. He was the shit. He was the shit that turns to gold, right? And like, and people would freak out, right? You just called David. No, the material that he was made of that time was earth. It was feces. It was sent for fertilization, and then he had to be fertilized and grow into the heart-led king that he became. But he was led by heart. Even like Saul tried to kill him, he chucked
Mm.
spears at him. Saul was crazy because God put a crazy spirit in his head because he was annoyed with him,
Mm.
basically. Like,
Mm.
he's like, here, I'm gonna make you a little bit mental. And so David, being the heart-led awesome guy that he was, would play the harp for Saul to like calm him down.
Mhm.
And Saul would chuck spears at him, like randomly.
Mm.
And David would be like, what?
Mm.
He would just leave. And but he would still go back and play the harp for Saul, even though Saul would sometimes chuck spears at him. That's what leading with your heart is. That's what example we're supposed to follow, right? Even though spears are being chucked, words are being said, insults are being thrown, you don't allow it to invade your heart-led space. You just exist in that space. And as you exist in that space, others see that fire and it creates a historical kingdom of royalty that is reverberated through all of history for centuries and centuries, like David's kingdom, right? And David's kingdom led us to where we are today. And everything that's probably going on in Gaza and all of this stuff. And it's real. And we should acknowledge it as real. But do we have to be crazy Christians repenting and going to church and get ready? The world is ending. Like, oh, no. Like, just you can just go into your living room and you can sit Indian style and you can go into your heart and you can talk to God and he'll hook you up. That's how you become the light. All right. I'm done.
Yeah, there's a story I just listened to recently where there's this guy that would go every day to like the White House, like fence area with a candle and sit there until the candle would just, go to the end. And after like years of this, finally a reporter asked, like, why are you here alone just with this candle? Do you think you're going to change, the system or the minds of politicians? And he said, no, it's not to change them, it's so they don't change me.
Yeah.
And I think the work is a lot of times to maybe fight isn't the right word, although I am getting physical because I do believe that you do have to fight. Like the Nazis weren't won because of Gandhi just fasting in a cell. It was from the British and the army that, I have to fight a disease that's on a plant, not by love, but I have to eradicate it with stuff, right? So you have to be strong and you have to work that muscle as well. But also, I think the fight is, can you fight darkness without becoming it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's a fine line because, we
Point,
can teeter into becoming the Dexter and then you become them.
that's
It's not
good.
helping a cause. However, you need to still eradicate the pest that's taking over the garden. So it's a fine line, but to not lose ourselves.
That's the fire in the ethanol, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like so that's that focused fire that gives you the fuel that you need to love and to fight and to be convicted and to set boundaries and to have integrity, all of that stuff, right? Like that's the fire that keeps intact the good values, like the core, but then it burns away the evil of the energy harvesters, right? But that happened over and over again in the Bible. What you're describing is that fine line dissolving because of whatever lack of understanding there was. Like there was Joash who became, he was hidden, he was in the Davidic line and they were trying to eradicate the Davidic line and he was hidden by priests in the house of God and he became king when he was 7. Well, he had an advisor who advised him his whole life, but he died whenever Joash was an adult. And because he had this advisor, the advisor helped him to be a good king, like helped him to observe the things that God wanted, helped him to make sure that they weren't burning stuff in high places, worshiping the ashram, like doing all the stuff that they were not supposed to be doing. But once that priest died, Joash didn't have a rudder because he didn't learn the principles required to rule in a healthy way. So because he was
Mm.
missing those values and because he was kind of given everything, it destroyed him eventually. And then he wasn't even buried with the other kings because he was a loser. Uh,
Yeah,
I've been
like I think that's like with the Zoroaster, right? Like it's like Azuramate, and then what was the other one?
That's
Ingra
what.
Mainyu. So there's like they kind of, the it's kind of self-explanatory, the names, but Azuramate versus Ingra Mainyu. It's like little Pokemon. That's
It's
what I think of it. And these like powers that be, but the premise is there and in all whether it's Buddhism or Christianity, right? Is there's this like binary, like good and evil, this dichotomy of, or there's suffering and there's enlightenment, and that we are to find that yin and yang, right? That middle ground of knowing that there's good and evil in ourselves. There's good and bad. Like we have to accept those parts and to not become on one side or the other and find that there's a middle. I think sometimes in Western culture, we're so into the like black or white of things. Like it's either this or it's that. It is both a lot of times, like depending on the context, to be good in one sense or one year is to be bad in another. Like it's, but there is, as we know in our inner compass, certain things that are pure evil on the spectrum and pure good. And then we have to accept that dichotomy is there. That we are up, what we're up against is there. It's in Zoroastrian, they started that whole dichotomy even before other religions, right?
Yeah, so the worship it has Ahura Mazda is wise God, who is the one supreme God, just so like Ilah or Allah
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
Yahweh, all same guy, just to put some controversy in the world. Um, for fun. But he presented
Right.
a dualistic worldview where Ahura Mazda represents truth and order, opposed by Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit, who it does sound like Pokemon, who
Uh-huh.
embodies chaos and lies. So humans must choose between good and evil through their thoughts, words, and deeds. Well, this doesn't sound different from Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism. I'm trying to find something. Hold on. Nope.
Hmm.
None of them are different. So I was laughing about this today, walking the dog, laughing at humans, thinking, this is what God must do. Because he's just laugh at how ridiculous we are on a constant basis. Like, I know we make him mad, but I know on some level there is this thing where we're all just doing the same exact thing in a different part of the world, arguing about the same points, yelling our eyes out, spitting, screaming, veins sticking out, and we're just all the same.
Yeah. Even if you're atheist, it's like treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah, well,
Like
it
simple.
brings me back to that jeweled net of Indra and how our subconscious and the unconscious is all connected. And if we understand that concept, that our subconscious is all connected to each other and we have oneness, then it gives us the capacity to understand each other better. And so if we transfer that idea to more and more people, not in a creepy, culty way, because that's unhealthy and oppressive, but in a way that shows like, hey, I have these values and it's really nice having them. Like my nervous system is calm. I'm not arguing all the time. I'm not taking angry poops trying to dunk on people on Facebook. Like
Hmm.
I'm just existing, braiding my hair, playing the bongos, doing things that bring me joy in my life and enjoying my kids. And then how do we, so what we should do, and this is what I think that the system is for, like we have this internet that they created to harvest our negative energy, right? So we know that now. We have it in our awareness. It was created just to create this dark, extra darkness. Okay. So how do we shine our light? Well, there's that duality to every single thing. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that an amazing thing? So we just
Mhm.
flip the internet to the other side. That's it.
Hmm.
Shine a light. Put things on the internet. Don't argue over Minneapolis. Don't argue over Epstein. Don't sit here and waste our energy feeding the machine. No, we use our platforms, we use our time, we use our comments, we use our energy through all social media and communication, verbal, physical, internet, to just love others and appreciate that focused fire. And when we get off track, we remember focused fire. We need focused fire.
Hmm.
Like, it's okay. Like we don't I don't have to scream at this person to get they're not going to get it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not going to get it anyway. What's going to get them to get it is like if you say something and they hear it and then they walk away and then they go read a book and then they look on this and then they see this and then one day God has brought it to their attention just by you planting a seed, right? It doesn't have to be like, I'm changing everybody's mind. No, you change the world by changing yourself. Change your own mind and work to be better every single day than the day before. And if you do that, then you can create pathways to 20 years of sobriety like Daria, right? Or an outreach, which is something that I wanted to talk about today too. Like, how do we get these kids to, how do we reverse what they did? So what they did is they implanted this seed in our kids' brains that they have to be gangsters and that they should be thugs and that they should be, and then it caused them or whatever, like any music that they did it on purposes with intention. It even says it in the Bible that they used music to rule people. Like it even says it in the Bible. So if they did it back then and they're doing it now, it's not shocking. Let's go ahead and figure it out, guys. So if they implanted all of that in our brain, we use outreach to teach these kids values and then they multiply it themselves, right? Like to Daria, tell everybody what you do in California.
Yeah, so I work with under-resourced youth in Southeast San Diego, essentially teaching job skills through gardening, but really it's just building teamwork, getting back to the earth, growing food, giving it to the community, which is a food desert in Southeast, and giving resources to youth, right? So um, as for like the frequency that you're talking about, I love that this is going back to the mycelium grounding and the frequency because the frequency of music has changed a lot. Getting back to a frequency of just putting your hands in the soil, talking, breaking bread together, communicating, listening to music in the garden, just not just words music, but just instruments, changes your frequency and your mood, in real time. It is planting those, like replanting seeds in the youth that will grow into a different frequency that will change, instead of the frequency that we're kind of on right now.
I think that's really cool. And
I
like
love it.
I am even seeing like in the just in the youth communities itself, like even in the punk community and stuff like that, the values are different from whenever I was young. Like it was like we need to value each other. Like these trans kids feel displaced and lonely. They need help being fitting in. Like that is a very valiant place to be, especially whenever we've been being brainwashed and manipulated for 120 years. Like for our own youth to pick up on that and see that they need to be a part of the change and that they need to help create values. And it's just punker, classic punker values, right? Like, which, if anybody knows about punk values is like having values in spite of the lack of value in society. Really, that's what punk values are. And so embodying what it means to be a punker means like just lifting everybody up whenever everybody would like to see other people pushed down. That is rebellion. That is
Mm-hmm.
standing up and helping these kids to lift each other up and realize that like the culture of tearing each other down is done. And
Yeah.
like that's over. And we have this opportunity to build something, plant seeds in the mycelium that will spread and multiply over vast lands, and we will see the fruit of it. We will. It will happen. We're seeing the fruit of all the BS that happened for the last 100 years right now. So let's plant new seeds. Fuck
Hmm.
them. Like simple. Like I am so excited to be alive right now because we have opportunity to be rebellious with love and be like, fuck you, I love you, bitch. Eat a dick.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. And the passion of it. So like I think there is a disease in our society, and the disease that I'm trying to stop in when the youth are young is the disease of apathy and disconnection and desensitization to it's not hopeless. Like it's not hopeless. We can feel hopeless at times, and it can seem like, oh, I can't buy a house, I can't get a job, I can't. It can seem hopeless. Oh, there's a lot in the government, they're all corrupt, all these things. But it's not hopeless. That's just the loud voice that's being displayed everywhere. If we become desensitized, that is when it becomes hopeless. The fact that we are caring, we're having a conversation, and the youth are truthfully, the youth are good. It's the environment, the lack of resources, the programming that starts changing what they innately are. Like the innocence and the light that comes to my youth garden program in them, it's like I'm not doing anything to them or to change it. In fact, I'm sometimes a adult that's been kind of weathered, and they remind me of the hope in humanity. However, depending on your socioeconomic, or if you're starving, you're hungry, it's easy to get wrapped up into your environment of providing fast money, fast resources, fast community. And that's not always the best route, right? And then you do get desensitized. And once that takes hold, that is a very dangerous place to exist out of. And then we have things where people are justifying child rape. And we don't have to go in that, it goes dark, but like that desensitization is the disease, right?
Absolutely.
Caring and hope and love is the answer. That's the remedy to that. So, yeah, that's what I feel like I'm up against,
And there's
even
there's
in myself, where I don't go dark.
there's a reason for the callousness present in that darkness, right? There's a reason that that person was so callous, and it was intended to evoke a certain energy from you,
Mhm.
and from the watcher, from the consumer, from whoever's consuming the information, right? The liar is loud, dude, right? Like the liar is so loud. The truth is quiet, and the truth waits, right? It waits for the liar to shut the fuck up. And then it's like, shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to react, just to be like, remember that time when like I don't want to get too political, but we're people that were coming with some intense things, and all of a sudden you're like, why are you being weird? You're being just weird. Instead of reacting to like the anger and the hate and getting sucked into it, you're just like, you're being just ridiculous, and like not putting the energy into it, and then focusing that energy onto something that is not getting wrapped up into all the stuff out there, all the loud stuff out there. So how that looks for me is okay, because it works. I get wrapped up. I'm on there, and I'm all of a sudden want to be Dexter, and take everyone out and all the things. And then what I do is I go to the garden, and I take my tool and I kill the weeds, the grass, and I get, and then I start, and out of that I start growing things, and out of that compost, out of that destruction, I start growing things, and those are the things that can quite literally feed and metaphorically feed the community, and transmute it into something better, which is
Exactly.
love.
Exactly. That's like, and that, I love that. I love how you brought it to what you do for others. Just channel it into what you do for others. These assholes are channeling their disgustingness into a place that is harvesting and manipulating our friends and family to have this darkness upon them. Like you're not noticing, like it didn't seem weird that your super, super duper MAGA friends seemed possessed. It's because they are. It didn't seem
Yeah,
weird
it's like
that
a
your super
closed.
duper duper leftist, angry, angry, angry leftist friends seem possessed. They are. And there's a reason why they both sound the same.
Yeah,
You know, because
yeah,
it's the same thing that's got a hold of them. And they're not realizing it, right? They're not understanding. And so they're arguing with each other and it's an echo chamber.
yeah,
And it's designed to keep them stupid. It's designed that possession, that entity is designed to have them in the Ouroboros that keeps them suffering in a loop instead of the Ouroboros that creates and is a womb,
yeah.
right? Like which there's two, just like there's two.
Divisiveness. Yeah. And I mean, I don't care if it's left or right, Muslim or Jewish, or like there are tenets of humanity and life that we innately have in us that we know, right? That some people lose, like um, just the sanctity of life, right? And not harming others, not torturing, like all these we innately know. I don't care if you're left or right. If you're left or right and you're telling me that child rape is okay, I like it's not a left or right thing. This is a humanity of that has gone so astray, right? If you want to talk biblical, then that Sodom and Gomorrah, it should be wiped away, right? But we can liken it to modern day language of like instead of maybe it's like this biblical thing, it's in our hearts and minds. Like where did we go so far away from our life center, from our God center, from our chi, prana, whatever center, that we can't even hold life with reverence anymore?
You want me to tell you when? I can tell you when. You ready? It was
Yes.
3,000 years ago. Upon a it was I don't know if it was a sunny day or if it was a stormy day. But yeah, I'm not sure if it was a sunny day or a stormy day, but Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal. Jezebel and Ahab were king and queen at the time. And whenever he did it, he went in there and he said, hey, if your little bitch ass God can rain fire on me, then I'll believe you. And we'll all pray to him and bow to him. And they were like, okay, well, we'll try to summon it. And they couldn't because the way that they summon magic is from lower level stuff. It's from animalistic places. So they would, instead of God, they would try to look to outside of themselves for magic,
Mm-hmm.
try to harness it from like and manifest it externally instead of going within and tapping into God, right? So shockingly, not shockingly, they failed and they couldn't do anything to Elijah. And so Elijah was like, well, check this out. And he like hosed 450 prophets of Baal with fire. And that made them mad to the extent that and this is legit like the story that started it all and I dug into the Bible to find it because I needed to know what was going on, why they were so pissed, what this little group sect of like inverted Judaism that's not it. It's this weird, like, I hate talking about it because it's so insane. Like, for it to be coming full circle and to be really fucking happening, like for it to be a real situation that we actually need to know this stuff about why we need to know it, like that's what fucks with me. And there's a reason why we were put here at this time. There's a reason why, like, your dad thought he was a prophet and my mom was psychic, like, like, my whole childhood teaching me meditation. And there's a reason why we all three end up together talking today, right? There's a reason why all of these things happen. I don't believe it's random. And there's things in modern society that lead me to believe that this is like a 3,000-year-old blood libel,
Hmm.
which is absolutely, first of all, like the ego involved in being so fucking pissed that somebody fucking proved you wrong, that you're going to exist after death for 3,000 years and bug people and subvert their, because like the Jezebel spirit, everybody talks about the Jezebel spirit, right? If you notice any problem that you have, and this is something that all the situation has taught me, is that if you notice any problem that you have, the problem exists because there's a lack of balance. So if you
Yep.
find the balancer, then you solve the problem. And so, and that goes for all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, and I like the word Jezebel. Does that make me a Jezebel? I want to look up what Jezebel, like, the meaning actually is.
Look at that. It's, oh, I forget what it is. I have it written
Oh,
down.
okay. Known for promoting Baal worship and persecuting prophets, it is often interpreted as where is the prince, or related to Baal worship. Um, oh my gosh, you're gonna like, okay. Uh, though the root Zabel suggests dung as a purgative, that we're going back to shit, right? The term is commonly used to describe an impotent, shameless, or scheming woman. But really, it has political and biblical, but interesting that it goes back to the word dung. That's a whole
Because
rabbit hole.
this is all by design. God is not mocked, dude. Like, that is like, if her name goes back to dung, then her spirit was just intended to shake things down back to prima materia so that gold could be created again. That was the intention. And sometimes that's that friction that is within that, then it's like there's a lot of shit that happens, right?
Literally, quite literally.
I think that's really cool. Because it makes you it makes you reconcile the shame associated with Jezebel and destroy the shadow associated with her if you understand it in that way.
Well, yeah, if it's like worship of Baal, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah,
Baal.
whatever.
Um, and dung is like the excrement of, animals, then it's quite literally the shit of the demon. Demon shit.
The demon. And so
The demon shit.
so like there's this theory that I have that they're fucking still mad, right? Which it makes sense because they worship Moloch, they pass kids through fire, all of that stuff is happening in Gaza. At this point, nobody has to sit here and talk with kid gloves about Gaza. Like, that is what is happening. That is what happened since October 7th. They were passing children through fire. They were showing it on the news, like straight up and celebrating. So that tells me that they worship Moloch. And so that's context clue number one. Looks like a duck. Then Iran is like, hey, you guys, check this out. We also do not believe in worshiping these false gods because we are Muslim and we don't like it either. So we're going to burn this whole statue. I'm not Iranian, I'm from Iran. I'm from America, but I love God and I love everybody else. That's my thing. Like, I love Muslim people, I love Jewish people, I love Christian people, I love Hindu people, I love Buddhist people, and I don't sit around worrying about who's pagan, who's worshiping what way, how do I exclude them? No. Who do I exclude from my life and set boundaries for? That would be people that hate other people. That's it. That would be people that rape kids. That would be people that co-sign the bullshit of evil people. Okay? That's where it is. And so that puts me on common ground with pretty much everybody else aside from these fucking weirdos. Right? Like, and there's a lot of the weirdos, but fortunately, I feel like God's spirit is way stronger than weirdo spirit. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like first I have to say free Iran from this dictatorship that they've been under, and that predators of the world have always been there. Like, it's been normalized. Like Persian women, Afghani women, man, so much. There's so many genocides right now, but these kids have been in marriages to old men and raped, and everything has been normalized under the government, right? Right now, things are all coming to light, and people are fighting for their freedom. But and if they can liberate Gaza, liberate Iran, if we can keep fighting for this liberation. These are things that have always been going on. They're just coming to light now.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in coming to light, it wakes people up enough to not feel hopeless like, what can I do? It's over there. Or what can I do? They're powerful people. No, I also will feel hopeless like, what can I do? And I'll also feel that rage and anger. But transmuting it into life force energy in your own community with people, with connection, with love, with the soil, with earth, with ground, with all the things we're talking about today for ourselves, even taking care of ourselves is the answer for me, But I can't deny, and since we're talking about Persians or Austrian, I can't deny that we're a product of our environment, right? Like I'm half Persian. If I was born in Iran, I would have grown up mostly either, well, in my family, it's half Jew, half Muslim, but I would have been Muslim because that you would have been killed if you didn't convert to that. So at the time that my grandparents were there and my parents, and still now, I guess. But so if I grew up there or if I was sent there as a kid, I would have a whole different upbringing and I would have been indoctrined into that because I'm a product of my environment. But since I grew up here with different resources and different upbringing, it's gone a different way. I have two different paths, right? So the fact is that if we can get out of that indoctrination of what we have been grown up into in our environment to think past it and see the commonalities and see the thread, just like Zoroastrian is like the thread of all the other religions branching out and philosophies, then we cannot be such a product of like, I'm right because this is the right thing. No, it wouldn't be the right thing if you just at 4 years old, I was flown to Iran, right?
Yeah.
Like what's right here wouldn't be right there. So we have to acknowledge that. And at the same time, it doesn't matter religion, politics, all these things, in the sense that you know what's right and wrong. You know what's happening in Gaza is wrong, whatever side you are on. You know that women being muted and raped and kids being sold or married off to older men is wrong. Like we know right and wrong, but it is getting so normalized and blurred and desensitized that we lost our compass so much, and we're getting to where it's divisive, right? It's now between classism and politics and this, and it's like, no, as a collective humanity, we know, but it's so frustrating because when that disease takes hold of desensitization and going to sleep, and someone quite literally on right or left or whatever says to me and justify something that is so horrific, I because I don't even know what to do except for to go fucking weed the garden in anger.
So,
Because what do you do, like what, and then it's hard to not be hopeless. So we have to keep the hope, keep these conversations alive, and really keep transmuting that energy you know
Yeah.
yeah, it
Like,
reminds me a lot of, I don't know, breaking the cycle of narcissistic abuse. Okay. So that's essentially what this is. We are
Hmm.
breaking out of a narcissistic cycle with the powers and principalities that have been at bay for however long it's been, right? Part of that process of breaking out of that cycle is seeing the narcissist for what they are. That's where we're at. I think as a culture, society, things like you can't deny any longer. And if you are complicit in the abuse cycle. Just like the people who are complicit with the narcissist and saying, no, they're a good person. No, they really mean well. No, they could never. No, I've never seen them act that way. When
Mm.
wholeheartedly, we're being constantly gaslit by those powers that be that this is okay by desensitization, right? That's how they're gaslighting us as a society is by desensitizing us. So, Daria, you're right. Go to the garden, furiously plant seeds of hope, compassion, love, empathy, because that is what's going to grow and that is what's going to ultimately change that cycle and break you free from it. Like, you have to gray rock it, right? So when they're throwing all of the shit at you to get you to
Hmm.
have the reaction, use the fire but do not react. Gray rock the fuck out of that. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
that's hard. People look at that like you're not doing anything. No, no, just because you can't see what's happening does not mean that there is nothing happening. I am turning it inward. I am utilizing that fire to burn away the impurities, to figure out and see things clearly for the first time. Because when you come out of that narcissistic abuse cycle and you're starting to see things and you're trying to realize that, like, oh my God, I've been gaslit, you feel fucking crazy. Your world that has been painted for you is not fucking real. And that's terrifying. And, I feel very blessed that these things that the world is seeing right now is something that I have been putting through my mind through for over
Mm.
5 years, right? I was called crazy. I was told that I was nuts by even
Mm.
entertaining ideas about certain things like this. That's fine. It's frustrating to watch everybody get so angry about it, but not know what to do because everybody feels like if they take it down, then everything that they've worked for goes with it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Well, we're adults. Like
Yeah.
other CEOs can be hired. I don't know if you guys know this.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the whole system
Yeah.
is gonna implode. Like, no, I'm sure that there's plenty of people that want good jobs that have been gate kept out of positions by people that have been in elite families, people that have been rich, people that don't belong in those positions at all. That's why we have the onslaught of entrepreneurialism in
Hmm.
our economy right now. It's because um people have gate kept those positions. So now those gates are open. Now people can be CEOs in banks that will actually distribute monies in ways that are positive potentially. Now people can go in that are young minded with strategies that just got out of college that aren't fucking evil, that can fucking
Hmm.
sort through this shit, that have logic, that haven't been in the government for 70 years or have their kids indoctrinated to believe that it's okay to be Jared Kushner or fucking anybody doing these awful things for the sake of real estate investments and blah blah blah. Like, shut the fuck up. Appoint better fucking CEOs. Like, this is not going to topple the entire system. That is not true. You're just saying that to make everybody afraid to fucking arrest these bitches. Arrest them, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they're building bunkers? Why?
Hmm.
Underground cities, bruh.
To be well adjusted to a sick society is no measure of health. It's
Correct.
completely natural to feel insane and crazy and depressed and upset in a world that is in fact crazy.
Correct.
In the matrix, that's crazy, like in so many ways, like the sugar in toothpaste, the queso morphine in cheese, like there's so many things that we could say that are so backwards, right? It's like the consciousness of um not thinking you're crazy. Like crazy is actually pretty sane in the
Yeah.
matrix, right?
Yeah. Right. It's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild. And I think this has been so polarizing for so long that to have to eat the bullet and do the uncomfortable thing, that uncomfortable love thing of taking some accountability and checking yourself for some shit that maybe you said in the past or you stood on business about, and now it's all come to light that maybe you were fucking wrong, and that's okay because you were not complicit, because you didn't, like, there's a difference in being deceived, right? If you've been deceived, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, just take accountability for it and go, damn, I was deceived. But whenever
Hmm.
you try and make that deception the truth and the reality, because it breaks too much of who you are and the idea of who you are, then you're part of the fucking problem. And you
Yeah.
won't last too much longer here unless you do the work to do the transmutation, to figure it out, to burn away the impurities, because you cannot exist in where we're going. The consciousness is not going to allow it anymore.
And don't let your morals stop you from doing what's right.
Yeah.
Fuck everyone. Do your thing. If it feels like, I always felt like certain people in this society, like there was always like the aversion to people that are coming out to be gross, like depraved individuals. I felt an aversion already to them. Like there was already a thing with them. I'm not going to follow him on Instagram. I don't know. He's a doctor. Yeah, he seems smart. But I just feel like that it's not really for me. Like I just think that his information doesn't really resonate. It gives me a weird frequency. So I'm just going to avoid that guy. I don't really like him too much. There's a few doctors that you can immediately tell that they're charlatans, right? By something they say. It could even be one little small thing that they say because people tell on themselves. And you can read like just the different energies and frequencies that these people have upon them. It, especially if they're doing these depraved acts, they're carrying that energy with them. You know, you can, I know I can feel a dark energy. Like, and there's certain people, like even people that are like whistleblowers that try to come out and speak, like Jaguar Wright is a good one.
Hmm.
Jaguar Wright came out like during COVID and was
Hmm.
whistleblowing Diddy and whistleblowing all this stuff that was happening. But her individual energy is fucking whack.
Yeah.
Like the feeling that I get from her, I would always just scroll past. Like, I don't care what she's saying. I don't want to hear it because there's an agenda involved and it's there's some negative energy that she carries that is just merit. And then you find out things about people and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, that makes sense why I felt that way, you know? So I said all that to say, like, trust your instincts.
Hmm.
You know, like if you get a bad feeling from a person that everybody likes, you can be the one person that doesn't like them. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
And your gut, trust your gut is what the saying is. Says trust your gut. And where does it start in your gut? With, I'm going to bring it all back with soil, serotonin, gut
That's right.
bacteria. How can you trust your gut if you fucked up your gut? If
how
you're not
how can
feed,
you
it's like the good and bad. It's like Star Wars. Like, are you feeding the good bacteria or the bad bacteria? If you're feeding a lot of the bad, that gut is going to send some things. It's going to be masked. You're not going to be able to trust it. And if you're feeding the good bacteria and you have a strong gut, when you have a gut feeling, you know to follow it. And it starts with the soil.
yeah.
That's my
Well,
spiel.
Absolutely.
it does start with the soil and what
And
you're
shit.
putting into the fascia
And the shit.
and
And
shit.
dung.
It starts with shit, soil, fascia, what you're putting into the fascia, right? Like how
Yeah.
and whether or not and like what comes from it. How do you get past that darkness level of alchemy? Well, it's love, right? Love is light, right? The next level is what? Albedo, which means white, and white is light. So, and then look at the way that plants work,
And
right?
light is a rainbow,
There you
Yes.
go. Well, look at
which
like
means the gays. No, I'm just kidding.
which means which
The gay agenda is. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
this is the
just
gay
kidding. The
agenda.
gay agenda has the pot of gold, which is shit.
Which is
And here we go in a circle over and
and
over.
here we go in a circle.
I
But,
like
well,
it.
it's been 2 hours. I think that we've covered a lot.
We covered a lot.
I think this is a really great podcast. I think this is a really good place to put a pin. I like the dynamic of having Daria on our show. I think that we should have her on more often. What do you think?
I love this.
Yes.
I was like, truthfully, this helped so much. I was kind of sitting depressed, tired, hormonal, all the things, trifecta. And
Yeah.
then I got up to get dressed for this. And I was like, you know what? I need these conversations so bad and this connection, and that there's like mindedness out there. And it's just not me feeling alone and too sensitive in a world that's pretty numbed. So thank you for the reminder and for this conversation that's really kept me on my toes, and that we're in the shit and it's okay.
Okay.
It's all right.
And we
Shit
know
turns
that
to
now.
gold.
Yeah, shit turns to gold.
Yeah, I'm curious what the title is going to be for this.
I know there's lots of them like fascia, soil. I think love is the shit should be the.
I think it
Yeah,
should be.
yeah,
I think that was I think that's a good title for this.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys and I love you guys.
Thank you. Love you
Thank
guys.
you.
I'm so happy that we get to have these conversations and we will do it again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a great love weekend.
You too.
Yeah. Bye,
Yeah.
y'all.
Gotta head out.
Bye.
Bye.